So in today's webinar, one of our attendees has brought up the question is that we'd like to see where the bottom of the design is better. So there are a couple different approaches, and this is she wanted to see this during the trace, like where is it going to be right from the outset at the bottom, and that's very common when you're sewing on hats because obviously you want to get as low as you can. And you want to see very quickly, especially with those of you with the compact machines where you have a laser pointer, it gives you a nice visual reference. So what you're looking at here is a design that just about every Happy machine has. This is the Happy Crest logo. And you'll notice that there's a crosshair right here that's showing the current sewing position. And that always locates itself over what's called the design starting and ending points. And every embroidery design has what's called the design starting and ending points, which is if let's say that, let's pretend that the first stitch is at the top here and it's going to sew this part. So the design start point is the jump command from wherever you're starting from to and jump and movement command to that first stitch. And so for example, if you put that, if you started it out down here, then it would be a command to go lower and to start the first stitch, which means, and then when you're done sewing all of this, then you'll go back to that point. So that forces this design lower, or you can have that to the left or to the right. One popular reason to do that is that you can set the design starting and ending point in the middle, but then actually move the content over to one side. And then what happens when you do that is that if you want something only sewing over like the right ear of the cap, then you can move this content, it's facing upside down, to the right here, or if it was right side up, then you would face it to the left. And then what will happen is that when you hit start, let's say you move this over 6 inches to the right, when you hit start, the machine will automatically rotate the cap over 6 inches, and then it'll sew that. So that's one of the reasons why you want to move the design starting ending points anywhere other than dead center. If this sounds confusing to you, there's no harm in just leaving it at center. Most digitizers will just leave it at the center unless you specifically ask them to. But in our attendee's question and in defending her point is that there are a lot of people, especially sewing hats, will take the design start and ending point and put it at the bottom here so that when it lines up, they can see it. So for example, right now, if I trace this design, so I'm going to go and trace the design. And when I trace the design, you're going to see that the laser point will first of all highlight for those of you who have machines with lasers. I think everybody here does because everybody's got a compact machine. So I'm going to press the trace button here. And you guys can see that there's a red dot right in the middle. And then the design is going to generally position itself around that. So because we've centered, because I hit the P center button before, I don't know if you saw that, but I hit the center button. So the design is going to be around that. So if I hit trace, then it's going to show that you can see it's going to go up and around and then below and then go below about where that that center point was. But now I'm going to load in a different design, and it's just going to be a simple, I don't even think it's at a ½ inch, but it's going to be a circle. But I did exactly what we're talking about is we moved the design starting at any point to the bottom of the design. So instead of that crosshair going to be being in the middle, physically in the middle, we're going to put it at the bottom. So, and I did that in the digitizing. So I'm going to go home here. I'm going to load in. So hit read to read from the stick. I think I called it circle bottom just for easy reference. So this should pop up in here in a second. I know I've got a billion things on this USB stick, so it's taking a minute to load. And then when it pops up, we'll load it in and let's see the difference. Okay, so so we have circle bottom. We'll press that. It's only a few stitches, so maybe 500, 800 stitches. And let's go back to the middle. And so you can already see that it's at the bottom. And if I hit the center button, and when it's not on center, you want to press the, instead of the P center button, you want to press the F center button. And now it's respecting that. and somehow, okay, so now it did actually kind of the opposite from, well, let's take a look. So let's go back and let's trace this. So we'll trace. And it's actually doing the middle. I don't know why I didn't flip the design for some reason, but let me see if this was, if this did flip the design. Since it's a circle, I can't tell. So there's an auto flip here. Let's make sure that's set in here. Oh, it is. Okay, so it is. Oh, it flipped itself around. It flipped itself around. So it's kind of, so it flipped itself around itself. So it's instead of showing low, it's showing high. But what you're seeing is that it is at the bottom, the trace points at the bottom. So what you're looking at, and this is actually what you're seeing here, is that the design, what you're looking at is the design is now above this. So it starts out immediately where the point is at the bottom of the design if you want to do that. So that's one way to immediately see the initial spot is at the very bottom. Okay, and then here's another way you can do it. Let's try and take a look here. I believe you can change the starting and ending points of the design. And I believe that can be in the settings here. So let me look through that. It could be, I think it's in the offset screen. I think here it is. So offset screen, I believe you can set the, so if I want to put it in the physically the middle of the design, let's see if it did that. Yep, now it's in the middle. So you can set your starting and ending points in the machine. Again, going to the main menu, going to setting, and you can set it the third screen over. So if I want it at the top or wherever you want it and not center, press this fourth button down. And then you can, if you want to put it at the top edge, then select this one. If you want to put it at the side, set this one, or the bottom. Obviously, you don't have the flexibility of saying how far, but you could place it at least on a top, bottom, or side edge, centered like that. And then this is back to where it was before. So that's a really neat thing that you can do with the Happy Machine. So either way, that's one way you can immediately see there's the laser spot, and the laser spot's now designating the bottom of the design. So great question, Lindy, Ellen. I hope you guys, that made sense. And we'll move on to our next topic. So I'm going to go ahead and close this recording. So this will be another lesson we can upload to YouTube.